Welcome to the video. Today we're going to be putting Fable 5 and GPT-5.6 to the test, although they may also be working together, so it will be a collaborative test, I suppose could be said, using Abacus AI and their supercomputer, which we can see here in the right side of the screen. This is basically an always-on cloud computing instance that both of these models are going to have complete root access to, and they're going to need it to perform today's task. So, what is that task, you may be wondering, and it is essentially something that has been recently introduced to the channel and seems like a pretty popular test. That is the Street Yeet game. So today's video is essentially using Abacus AI, GPT-5.6 Sol, Fable 5, and the Abacus AI supercomputer to create a fun game that will actually be hosted on the web with a live link just through this cloud compute instance from Abacus AI. So before we get into it, please do feel free to subscribe so I can get the 100K plaque, and additionally to that, thank you to Abacus AI for sponsoring today's video. They basically said they like the way I make demonstrations, so why don't I do one but using Abacus AI and their supercomputer and hammer on Fable 5 and GPT-5.6 Sol to make something that would fit the style of our demos, such as Street Yeet. So with that, let's take a look at our prompt and then we'll get started on building. So while we look over the prompt, I'm just going to make the supercomputer window a bit smaller so we can get more view in the text here, but this is going to be a prompt obviously to create the Street Yeet game. However, it is going to specifically take advantage of some of the things that get enabled by actually using the supercomputer, such as root access, ability to use that computer for specific tasks, and other things. So the prompt is, I need you to act as an autonomous AI engineer and game developer. You have root access to this machine, the supercomputer on the right side of the screen. Your task is to build and deploy a full stack browser-based 3D physics game called Street Yeet. TM. No, I'm kidding. But you must handle the environment setup, backend LLM hosting, and front-end physics game autonomously. If you hit errors during installation or execution, read the terminal logs and fix them yourself. Do not ask me for help, which is kind of the traditional vibe coding style. 1. Our backend is going to be Python and AI. So in addition to just a fun game, we're going to be telling these models to pull a very small 0.5 billion parameter Qwen 2.5 model to actually give NPCs in this game ability to converse with us. The reason I'm choosing that model specifically is Qwen 2.5 doesn't have thinking, so it just makes it easier when we want quick and fast, simple dialogue systems for NPCs in games. It's definitely something we're going to begin seeing more and more of, is AI-powered, intelligent NPCs in games. Maybe these won't be super intelligent, but I have a fun little clever trick just to give them some diversity in terms of their personas. So additionally to that, they need to create an API endpoint that receives text input and a character ID, and returns an LLM-generated response, which would be coming from that 500 million parameter Qwen 2.5, serve the front-end static files. So next up, we have the front-end, graphics, and physics. Use Three.js and a physics engine like Canon.js or Ammo.js to build a vibrant, highly detailed 3D city block environment. The player controls a first-person character with a visibly giant fist rendered on the screen. Populate the city with physics-enabled props like trash cans, crates, etc. that can be punched and sent flying alongside at least 3 distinct NPC models and blocks. Part 3 is the gameplay mechanics. When the player clicks on an NPC, a chat UI overlay opens. The NPC must reply dynamically using the local Qwen backend, so that 500 million parameter Qwen 2.5 that will be running and served entirely on the supercomputer right here on the right side of the screen. Each of the 3 distinct NPCs must have a completely different hilarious system prompt. For example, Grumpy Hot Dog Vendor, Paranoid Tech Bro, or Zen Pigeon Feeder. After a brief conversation, and this is a part I very much like, the player must type either yeet or neat into the chat. If neat, the conversation closes peacefully. If yeet, the chat closes, the player's giant fist punches the NPC, applying a massive physics impulse that sends the NPC flying a hilariously long distance across the city. The counter yeet. To give a little bit of gameplay to this, you must track the player's total yeet count. On every third yeet, the NPC counters the attack. Instead of the NPC flying, apply the massive physics impulse to the player's camera rig, sending the player flying wildly into the sky, followed by an automatic page reload to reset the game. Because a static number there is kind of boring, I'm going to change that to be like a random number of yeets. There, so it'll be a random number between 1 and 10. the NPC will counter the yeet, and then the player will get yeeted. Write the code, execute the server, and provide the local port and public URL so I can play it immediately. Now we already have the publicly accessible domain right here for the supercomputer, so that's probably not entirely necessary, but I'm going to leave it in just to see how the models deal with, like, oh, okay, I'm using a cloud computer right here. Like, how do I tell the user how to access this? Now, the final step before we get into this is one, probably make that a bit bigger. And two, we're going to enable max mode right here, which we can see under the prompt input chat area. And if we click that right here, we can see that this is going to use Fable 5 and GPT 5.6 as the daily driver LLMs. This is the most capable version built for our hardest tasks, like Street Eat, with AI intelligent NPC inclusion. So with that, let's try max mode. It is now enabled. We're going to leave this in agent right here because we're not chatting with it generally. We're giving it a task that we need it to perform. And without wasting further time, let's press send. And right here, we're basically brought to a more chat style window because at least for the time being, we don't necessarily need to see what's going on with the supercomputer right here. If we do want to have that split screen side panel, we can also just click on the computer icon there and it will bring us back to where we were before. I think for the time being, I'll probably leave both of these open just for nothing more than, I guess it looks cooler as like a vibe code session, but we're going to be focused mainly right here on what's going on with the models building, and we get a top level summary of the specific process that they're doing, such as working on the code. So we're now met with a to-do list, which is probably going to be a bit deep because there are a bunch of steps right here. So we see 7 of them specifically, and we can also see what is happening right here in the supercomputer where the agents are controlling the sandbox, which they do have root access to. So all of what's going on right here is just setting up this specific instance of this cloud computer for our task. Now we can see right here that it is just setting up some of the local AI intelligent NPC settings. So we see we have our specific characters, Vinny, Blake, and Maureen, and these are going to have the specific individual prompts just to give a bit of diversity so we're not always talking to the same exact NPC. And right here, okay, we can see these are parameters just for the tiny local chat AI. Max new token, so it will generate 120. We have a temperature set to 0.8, which is fine. I mean, if you really wanted to go crazy with this, you could set the temp to like something above 1 and it would probably make some more odd conversation, but for the purpose of this, it's probably fine. So what was being done right there is basically just setting up this environment for the local AI, and now we can see that it's writing some more code here just pertaining to our game. And this is a cool thing because basically like it's showing a full agentic workflow, I guess could be said, because our agents are controlling everything. And another cool thing here is these agents have full root access to this cloud computer instance, but none of that needs to be like translated over to our main system. So we don't have to give them root access or any access whatsoever to our system. Everything is happening entirely here just from Abacus AI and not needing any like local sensitive access to our system. And we can see here all of the codes getting written. They're going to be basically hammering on that to-do list, and we're still on step 1, so this is probably going to take quite a bit of time. Instead of like leaving this at the bottom here, I think I almost want to leave it so we can see the to-do list instead, because that just gives us a higher level overview of what specific step we're on right here. All right, so right now it's making Vinny our grumpy hot dog vendor, and it's also creating the hot dog cart that's going to be next to him, which we will inevitably also be able to yeet. So our to-do list has been updated a bit. 2 of 7 steps are completed. It's now setting up the project, environment, everything like that, and it will also download the weights for this model, which are going to be required, though fortunately it's not a very large model. We can see all of that is happening right here, again, just from this virtual machine, so it's cool that we don't have to worry about any like setup or stuff like that. Everything is going to be handled entirely here, and it's basically going to spit out at the conclusion of this just a live link where ourselves or anyone can actually go and play this. So it does very, very much simplify the process of actually creating something that would require more than just like a simple website and then I open it on my local computer. This just is like a vibe coding an actual app, like with all the dependencies as well. Cool, and now we're seeing right here that it's just testing the AI to ensure that it's properly responding, and what we just saw there before it swapped into this scene was actual responses coming from the AI for each of our 3 specific characters. This is such a tiny model that it will run at a relatively good speed, even on a CPU, so that's part of the reason we want to use this as well. And this is something interesting that we're seeing right here is the agent is reporting the replies work, but the character adherence is weak because of the tiny model. Let me strengthen it with with a few shot examples. So we're actually now seeing the culmination of that here, where this is literally testing that little AI on this Claude supercomputer right here, just to ensure that it's able to tune it to properly stay in character a little more coherently. And it's interesting, this also crosses over into some capabilities that are more explored now of gigantic state-of-the-art frontier models like Fable 5 and 5.6 Sol, actually being able to optimize and improve various performance of tiny models like this 500 million parameter Quen 2.5 model. Oh wow, look. Okay, that was pretty quick. Now, I'm not doing anything right here, and it's actually going to be autonomously testing it, and this is why I really love this interface, because we can see it split screen right here. So what the agent is doing, where we have computer action, and then on the right, we actually have it testing this in the Chrome web browser from our cloud computer that it's working from within. So we get a first look at it right there. Now, obviously, I don't know that I'm going to be 100% satisfied with the graphical fidelity that we saw right there, but remember that we're still in some pretty early steps in terms of our to-do list. So, and I just saw for a quick second, it's showing us a different specific area. Okay, cool. And I see Vinny over there. That is the grumpy hot dog vendor. There is some movement effect right here, of course, for our player. And we have a street. So we definitely have the street part of the street yeet so far. We're going to wait to see if it does actually. Oh, I think Vinny might get yeeted. All right, let's see. Now, there's also some more nuance and complexity to this game, because you have to, well, you don't have to, but you need to also have the ability to have a conversation with someone first, and then you decide if you want to yeet or not yeet them. So, and I saw when it was coding, if you typed neat, it basically left a message in the chat box that was like, you decide not to yeet them, like how peaceful or something weird. And I don't want to touch too much right here, because we could also hypothetically take control of this right here. Yep, and that's what I just did. So I apologize for that incompetence. Let me just try to put it back to where it was, and then, that's okay. It will figure it out. But we can see all of the basically things it's doing right here are computer action, so it will autonomously game test. And it seems like we're getting closer to seeing the first draft iteration of our game here, as it says all mechanics have been verified, finalizing git commit checkpoint and record the deployment. So soon we'll likely be able to actually interact with this. Now again, I'm going to turn the speaker on and make sure that the volume is up, because I may or may not have had an issue with that previously. But we're also going to want to probably have this take a second pass if we notice things like, hey, this UI is jank, or this doesn't look good visually. Also, okay, good. Our task is complete, 7 of 7. Opus 5 included dogs in this specific game, and that was just like a sick model. So I'm hoping Fable 5 and 5.6 Sol are not as sick in the head or in the tensors, however you'd want to put that, and don't include dogs or any other pets. They include pigeons sometimes. All right, cool. So check this out. Here's what was completed, and we have transformers, accelerate, CPU only PyTorch, and those are specifically for hosting this tiny 500 million parameter model on the CPU. Max new tokens 120, one-shot in character examples to keep the tiny model on persona, which is good. And that was something interesting to see that it actually decided upon when it was building, because it said it's not really doing well with prompt adherence. So let's give it some examples. So then we have our front end right here, and we have a bunch of specific information about the game deployment, and including that counter yeet, where we may get yeeted as well, to make it a little more than just like a God mode game, so to speak. All right, it's live and ready to play at streetyeet.abacusai.cloud. It also is giving us all of the files right here for the game that it has created, and it just lists those as well. We can connect Git if we want to just kind of push this to GitHub. So I want to start by taking a look at this. We'll just open this in a new tab. I should probably just open it in Chrome, since that's always a little better supported. So here's our first look at Street Yeet, and again, it's just being served right there through the Abacus AI supercomputer. All right, good. That's an interesting punching animation. All right, so WASD is to move. Uh-oh, I'm not actually able to move right here. Let me try arrows, make sure. Interesting. All right, good. Well, we do have a first thing that we're going to notice here in terms of a piece of feedback. I'm saying there are no sound effects, which there aren't, but I've now realized I don't think the prompt said it needed to have them, but we're just going to make it seem like the models were at fault there and not me. Additionally, all right, so I've given them some somewhat scathing feedback here. Absolutely, I'll address the feedback and make a substantial improvement pass. Okay, good. You better. In the meantime, though, because I always think this is cool, even if it's, oh, I should have done that. Okay, a next pass. So I want to look at it on a mobile phone because it's available live from the web. But I could also have them implement mobile phone on screen controls if it's like in a mobile phone. That may be worth doing as a follow-up to this. So I'm just going to this on the phone as well, and we can see it is showing up right there for Street Yeet. I don't know how visible it will be, but because we can't actually, oh, we can. So if I tap the screen, it does show the punching. I very much like phones. I don't know why. It just brings like AI into a different interface, so to speak. But this is not fully playable right now, but it's just interesting to see it somewhere else. Now, in the meantime, it's also just created a new list of to-dos, which are to basically follow up and improve it based off of everything I had said right here in my feedback. All right, our major improvement pass is complete, and I'm happy to say that we have not yet had any teasers as to what this improvement is going to look like. So if I just refresh this right here from within Chrome where it is open, all right, I can tell you on first glance, this is definitely much better. We have moving volumetric clouds, and there's a car there, so let's just, oh, the speaker's not on. All right, good. Welcome to the video. All right, let's go. Okay, we have Vinny here. Now, I think we're supposed to click. There's even some movement to initiate a conversation. Okay, hot dogs $5. Give hot dog Vinny in all caps. Now, it's not going to have the, oh, I spelled hot dog wrong. It's not going to have the most intelligence, being that this is a 500 million parameter model. Sure, give a dog a pat on the back for his hot dogs. I'm Vinny, always hot dogging it up. Yeet. Oh. Okay, can we yeet the crates? Yeah, expected. But, all right, so I can't seem to yeet the stand. All right, good. We can move around. There are footsteps, and we can yeet this car at various degrees. I'll say the actual like weight that it's ascribed to different things here is actually relatively real, like realistic, I should say. Okay, Maureen is the one who feeds the pigeons, just out of pure curiosity, of course, for scientific purposes. Can we eat the pigeons? No. Good. And we don't want to. Was that a... Oh no, it's just like a chimney or something. There's more cars. There's like random honking effects. I definitely want to be able to have more powerful yeets. I guess the buildings do even have like things. All right, here's Blake, our tech guy with a laptop. Whoa, whoa. You didn't see my screen, right? This idea is pre-seed confidential, bro. I will invest in seed round. And typing is just like the AI model is generating maximum of 120 response tokens. No, I'm not ready for this yet. I need more info before investing. Okay, let's try a non-yeet. Good. You and Blake part ways peacefully. How wholesome. For now. All right, and then let's finally speak to Maureen, the pigeon lady. Not bad. Look at the glasses. She looks like Mrs. Ellis from Steve the PC Repairman, for those of you who are in the know. The pigeon does not... Yeah, I'm just gonna... Oh, what? We got counter-yeeted. That makes me mad. Is that bad? Like, look at all the pigeons. They're moving. Oh, they're like, they have like the pigeonness to them. Yeet. Ah, that's right. Oh, okay, cool. We can hit the fire hydrants. Blake. Yeet. Okay. Oh, all right. That was good. There are some things that I'd like to probably have improved, but overall, that's definitely in line with what I'd been wanting. All right, so I've given this some follow-ups after our second pretty decent version, but there are a few things I'd like included and just made a bit better. So I said I want to be able to yeet everything: the fire hydrant, the hot dog cart, pigeons, cars, etc. The current car yeet is far too subtle. I just want more extreme overall. Also, we need more NPCs in here, but they don't all need to be quote-unquote intelligent. We're powered by Quen 2.5.0.5b, and I do want the NPCs that are random and not intelligent to still be able to counter-yeet us, just to add some fun to the game. I've basically said make it more over-the-top and cartoonish along with these features. And it's currently just ongoing right here to improve the overall cartoonish and ridiculousness of the game. It's also going to be adding in like a power yeet, which is going to be a pickup and will really just make us stronger. All right, so it seems like our iteration has now completed where the pigeons are yeetable with a squawk, as denoted by my what I wanted. Cartoon juice impact text. Okay, so it's going to make it more cartoon-like. There is now a dumb NPC crowd. I'm just going to not say anything. All right, cool. And it's live, so hypothetically we should be able to test our newly updated street eat. All right. I do see pigeons flying. Oh no, those are people. Where are they? Ah, okay. And they all have name tags, which I like. Hey, Randy. Oh, okay. Randy went in the building. That's fine. Gary went partially in the... Yep, Gary's in the building now. Let's just get to some of these before they get... We can jump. Blake, we've spoken to. I want to see if... Did the car eating get more like... Yep, yeah, that's what I wanted. Oh. That's not funny. It's just not right. Now, my understanding is that there is a grab the golden fist. Okay, where... Oh, excuse me, Gary. Excuse me, Randy. Saw a quick glimpse of his face. Where's the golden fist? Good, good. The light pole is yeetable. The hot dog cart? Yeah, it is good. I still don't know where the golden fist is. Oh. we got counter heated, which is gonna refresh. Where is the golden fist? The counter heat really adds a lot to this game, but still, I don't... Oh. Was that there the whole time? I don't think it was. Here's our mega heat. Let's just try it on a car. Yep. Can I heat a building? No. All right. Here, quick. The mega heat ran out. There's probably one more thing I want, which is to add mobile control support. All right, so the final task here is basically to implement mobile phone support and then also just rename the Golden Fist power-up to something a little more cartoonish. All right, so it's going to test desktop gameplay in the settings panel, and we can actually see here they're good. The settings icon is there, and that is what we wanted added in so that we can swap to mobile. I also, okay, the Golden Knuckle Sandwich is what it renamed the Golden Fist. I suppose that's more cartoonish. All right, so it's actually autonomously playing it right now, but I do believe that it is testing out the mobile phone controls because we can see there are tap buttons on the screen there. Basically, the only ones we need are like punch and then whatever the other one is there, the blue one. But it's cool even seeing right here that it is testing the mobile phone controls autonomously as well. It's now checking the chat function just with the mobile touch controls enabled. As it said, tap to chat didn't open. Let me debug the raycast at tap point. And now it does seem like it's open there. So that was something I had honestly forgotten about implementing that with the touch screen controls. I was more focused on yeeting, not chatting. So that's good to see as well. All right, it's now been completed. And once again, it is live online. So I'll just do a hard refresh right here. But now at this point, I'm far more interested in the mobile touchscreen controls, which we will need to experiment with by just using a phone. So that's exactly what we're going to do right now. All right, now for the fun part, let's check the touchscreen controls on the phone. So I am screen recording. All right, I'm going to swap it just to like sideways mode. Landscape, I believe is the term I was looking for. Okay, there's a pigeon right there. Oh, sick, look, look. So, oh, well, you'll be able to see because I'm recording the phone screen, but it actually has like a drag and move joystick. Can we also pivot? Okay, we can, but if I just use the thumb for that, this is actually a pretty good transposition to the phone, I would say. Let's just try yeeting something. Okay, good. What is that? Oh, that's jump. Okay, so the blue arrow is to jump. I want to, let's first, like, all right. Let's have a chat now and see how the chat window works. Okay, it's probably better in like, okay, it is significantly better in portrait mode, or is that landscape? I get them confused. You know what I mean? Yeet. Adios, Blake. This actually looks pretty good in landscape mode as well, but that'll mess up the recording. I apologize for that. All right, let's go find the golden knuckle sandwich. All right. Let's go find some NPCs. We only have 15 seconds with that. Oh, come on. All right, I'm just going to punch a car because... Go, 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 go. Did that? Oh, no, he just... All right. Okay, the counter yeet on the phone. I don't know why I'm showing it that way. You would have seen it, but it works very well. All right, let's just do a few more. I have to say, this is actually quite playable on the phone screen. And something I'm noticing is that the cartoon, like, sent, all of the text that appears on the screen is actually bigger and, like, more in this theme on the phone. All right, let's see how many yeets we can get before we get counter yeeted. It is pretty playable, though. Like, if you look at the speed at with which I'm playing it, it's easy to navigate around. It is definitely a good transposition to mobile controls. Oh, Craig counter-yeeted us. And then it just restarts. Okay, that was overall actually quite good. The mobile phone controls were really good. This joystick, the ability to move around and also to spin the position of the camera is very well done. And then we have a good jump control, and then the punch control is the best there. We'll do one more yeet for good measure. Very good. I'm quite satisfied with this being swapped over, and we have our touch control settings right there, which just makes a toggle. That's pretty good. All right, so overall, that's probably going to conclude our vibe code test right here. Again, this is entirely thanks to Abacus AI and their supercomputer feature, where using max mode here, we were able to implement a game using Fable 5 and GPT-5.6 Soul. We're going to see here again, and I want to drive this point home, this supercomputer option basically enabled the entirety of this, because not only did we need to have dependencies set up, because this did use intelligent NPCs, it had to download the Tiny Quen model, it had to get it running. Everything that we saw there in terms of dependency setup and actually using that model on CPU was entirely running on the Abacus AI supercomputer. Additionally to that, the way that we were actually accessing this, not only from this specific system, but from our mobile phone, this is being deployed and hosted entirely here from Abacus AI. So that really enabled the entire process of this to be pretty seamless. It's basically like you just type in and vibe code an entire like production game like this, which is hosted now online. And you could send that link to anyone and be like, yo, check this out, I just made it, and play it. We can also look at the files that were generated for our specific game, so Street Eat right here, and I can now just go and download the entire project if I wanted to, as well as the agents.md. So we could download a zip archive of this folder, and then you could have whatever you ended up making right there, which we can see it's downloading right now. And it was a fairly reasonable size download, because not only does this include the game code, but this includes the actual weights for that Quen 2.5 0.5B model. So that's what we're seeing right there. And it's just cool that all of that, and you can see this is a decent sized download. It was all just handled seamlessly through the supercomputer with the agents orchestrating and handling everything that we needed. So that is basically going to conclude today's video. Again, thanks to Abacus AI. This was a lot of fun to make. I know Street Eat has been a popular choice when we're doing model tests, so it was interesting to see how it was done when giving some intelligence to pedestrians and also using Fable 5 and 5.6 Soul in conjunction with one another to work on this and set up a machine, have our dependencies, and then give us a game that even was playable from a mobile phone. So that's going to wrap things up. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments, and thanks for watching.